What if there's a way to make far more money than the current crypto bull run is offering, and a way that ensures that you earn this money consistently without having to run the risk of, wondering if you're going to lose your money in the bull run? Well, welcome. I've lost money to crypto. I'm sure some of you have lost money to crypto too. And I wish I knew what I'm about to share with you today before putting the amount of money I put into crypto way back then. And today, what I want to share with you is something that if I had discovered, I'm certain it would have earned me far more money than if I had just put it in crypto, and it would have earned me that amount of money consistently and without running the risk of loss. Someone says, is it possible? Yes, it's actually very possible. You see, what we have today, of course, people don't want to accept it, is a whole lot of hopium, because it's better to discover principles that work than just jumping on the gravy train with every other person. It's time to learn this very basic principle, which I wish I knew way back. Welcome once again, and I'm going to dive right into the topic for today. Like I like to say, I take my principles from the Bible, and before we even start going deeper, this principle is what a whole lot of the big shots you know out there, they use it and they make their monies to triple, even in an economic downturn. Yes, even in an economic downturn. So we're talking about the principle here that's not dependent on the direction of the economy. It's a principle that is proven, that works, and like I just said before now, used by all the big names that you know. And that's why it seems like the rich keep getting richer and the poor keep getting poorer. Well, that's the introduction. Let's dive in, because I'm taking this from Luke chapter 16, a very interesting story about a crooked manager and what we can learn from this guy. Now, this guy's boss discovered that he had been taking money from the company's funds and living a lavish lifestyle. Then all of a sudden threatens to run an audit and to sack him from the job. Now, this is where the story gets interesting, because the response of this guy shows us a principle that we can utilize all the time. About to be fired, you can use this principle. Business going slow, you can use this principle. Economic downturn, you can use this principle. It's a principle that's proven to work no matter what. Because what the manager says when he discovers that his boss is about to sack him is very instructive. He says, and the manager of the estate said to himself, what shall I do, seeing that my master is taking the management away from me? He says, I'm not able to dig and I'm ashamed to beg. First principle, the manager knows his limitations. He knows what he's able to do and what he can do. This guy knows, look, I don't have physical energy. I don't have physical strength. I'm too proud to even go about begging. Keep these things in mind, because we are going to learn a lot just from these few verses. The guy identifies his weaknesses and knows he's not good at begging. Now, some of us right now, as you're listening to me, you're like, okay, I have those weaknesses. I don't even know how to maybe even trade online, or I don't know how to, I don't know all the new digital skills that seem to be, coming out every day. That's a good start. At least you know your weak points. Now, what does this manager do next? He says, I have come to know what I'll do. Meaning he sat down, thought through the whole process, and arrived at the conclusion at the best line of action. And the line of action he arrived at is so interesting, because the line of action, anybody, no matter their skill level, can actually learn and start implementing. Isn't it funny that the things that actually bring a whole lot of money are so basic, isn't it? And he says, I've come to know what I'll do so that my master's debtors may accept and welcome me into their houses when I'm put out of management. So this guy says, I've got a plan in case I lose my job. I've got a plan in case my business, just in case my business goes south. I've got a plan, supposing there's an economic downturn. Now, bear in mind that the guys is talking about striking a deal with, because that's what he's talking about here. They're not broke guys. They're people who do business with him. There are people that are within his network, and I want you to watch the words I'm using. They are people of influence. So he sat down and obviously put down a list of people to strike a bargain with. Of course, a dirty deal, but still a bargain, so that if he loses his job, he wouldn't have to suffer the consequences of a job loss or suffer the consequences of an economic downturn. So what does he do? He calls the debtors and he strikes a deal with them, and he's like, okay, how much are you owing? The guy says, look, I'm owing like £100,000. And he says, you know what? Reduce it to £50,000. The other guy comes, how much are you owing? I'm owing like £60,000. And he says, you know what? but this is £30,000. What is going on here? Principle number 2. This manager approaches his potential high net worth friends and persons of influence, and he doesn't go begging. He doesn't go talking about his needs. He meets them from the point of their own need. He doesn't approach them from a point of desperation. He comes to them offering them help. You see, when it comes to attracting persons of influence into our lives, most of us come there, approach them, cup in hand, begging. But the fact is that these type of people, the type of people you're going to need if you want to be able to work in wealth, no matter where the direction of the economy, there are people who, when they meet you, the first thought on their mind is, what are you bringing to the table? How are you going to be of help to me? How are you going to make my life easier and better? How are you going to improve my situation? Yes, they have the money, but they don't have it for beggars. They don't have it for people who, how will I put it now, who sound desperate. They have it for persons of value. And the manager doesn't even mention he's about to lose his job, doesn't talk about his problems. He positions himself as a person of value. Are you following this line of thinking? So in periods of economic downturn, in periods of economic boom, position yourself as a person of value to persons of influence, and wealth will flow in your direction. Now let's keep reading. All right, I'm going to jump all of that. And he says, and after that he said to another, how much do you owe? He said 100 measures of wheat. And he said to him, take back your written acknowledgement of obligation and write 80. Now, he says here in verse 8 that his master, his boss, praised this dishonest servant because he knew how to look after himself. Now you're wondering, what does this have to do with anything? Well, here is the conclusion. It says in verse 9, and I tell you, make friends for yourselves by means of your money. That's a paraphrase. You see, if what you have, the spare cash you have, and interesting that Jesus said this, and Daniel Priestley has the same orientation towards this. You know, he's been interviewed and he says, well, I have $100. If all I had was $100, what I'll do is to find key persons of influence, movers and shakers in my industry, and probably host a dinner party for them. Now, what is going to be the outcome of that dinner party is most likely and very likely going to be connections, very likely going to be business deals, because you are coming with value that you have to offer. And this is how the rich keep getting richer, because the rich know the money is used to buy influence. Good thing here, it doesn't just have to be money, because I know there's somebody watching me right now and you're like, well, I don't even have a dime. Don't say that. You've got something in your hands, you've got a gift, you've got a talent, you've got a service that you can offer to the right people to gain influence and access. Now, when you do this repeatedly, doesn't matter the direction the industry is going, you are going to have a list of people who know who is who and who will direct value in your direction. Now, value is what creates wealth, independent of the market's direction. I don't know if you're with me. Let me repeat again, starting from point 1. Point number 1, the manager knows his weakness. Point number 2, the manager presents himself as a person of value. Point number 3, the manager identifies key persons of influence in his industry and offers his value to them. Point number 4, the manager offers his value to them, expecting to be accepted into their network, expecting to become a beneficiary of their influence. This is how you make money, no matter the direction the crypto market or the economy is going, and this system doesn't fail. Stay blessed, subscribe, like, see you in the next video.